In the first bracha in benching, we say towards the end of the bracha, Meichin Mazon l'chol b'riyosaf. HaKadosh Baruch Hu prepares the Mazon for all his creations. It's very interesting if you think about it. And earlier, we say, Noisein lechem l'chol basar. He gives bread to every human, or every basar, maybe animals, we'll see. Meichin Mazon, he prepares Mazon. At the end we say, l'chol b'riyosaf, to all his creations. We switch from the word Noisein to Meichin, from giving to preparing. So the Maral explains that the reason why we switch the language is because when you give something to someone has to take it. Every giving, every nesina has a lakicha, or it's not really what's called given in term of Chazal, a nesina. And therefore he says a human being takes the food. There's a kicha, we say noisein. But over here, Meichin Mazon l'chol b'riyosaf, we're not only talking about humans, we're talking about animals, we're talking about the ground receiving water, we're talking about everything that needs sustenance in the world, the photosynthesis that goes into the plants, everything. They don't take it, they just receive it, but they don't take it. And therefore, we don't say he gives it, because they don't take it, we only say he prepares it. Now, interestingly enough, the Rekeach adds to this. The Rekeach says, the Rekeach lived before the Maral, but the Rekeach points out that the Gemara Avodah Zarah Daf Gimel Amud Beis tells us all about Hashem's schedule for the day. And Hashem's schedule for the day, it says in the Gemara Avodah Zarah, is split into 4 parts. There's 12 hours in a day, and each 3 hours, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is doing something else. It says, Shtei Mesvei Shoyes Havei, and the day is 12 hours. The first 3, Hashem sits and is Isaac in Torah. The second, Nischayev Olam, Yeshev Adonis Kol Olam. The second 3, he dons the world, he judges the world, right? The third, he sits, Yeshev Adonis Kol Olam Kuloi, he feeds the entire world. Mekane Re'emim, which is, Rashi tells us, in the horns of a Re'emim, which he says is a large chayos, all the way at Beit Sekinim to the eggs of lice. HaKadosh Baruch Hu spends 3 hours every day taking care of making sure that everything is fed. And that's what we're saying over here. Now, interestingly speaking, this Mekane Re'emim at Beit Sekinim, we say this Lashon, there's a tefillah for Parnas and Shema Kelenu, where we talk about HaKadosh Baruch Hu's refinance everything from the Kane Re'emim at Beit Sekinim. So, from the Rekeach, one could say that this is talking about not specifically the ground, but all animals and everything, all the way to the eggs and the lice, and everything. Hashem prepares, and Hashem spends 4 hours a day, and that's what we're talking about. Hashem is Meichin Mazon, he prepares the food for every bria. And one more quick shot from the Iyun Tefillah in the bottom of the Siddur Eitzat Tefillos. He tells us, he brings us to the Medrash Rabbah, and Vayikra Rabbah tells us, Amr of Chagi, there are things that really, if we would walk, a typical walking day would take us 500 years to get there, right? Because the Gemara tells us a typical person works 4 parsa every single day. And while we sleep, and while we sleep in our beds, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what does HaKadosh Baruch Hu do? He's at work. He takes the water from the oceans, he creates it, condensation, it goes all the way up to the sky, thousands of miles. And then the clouds have to move to the exact right place, and then the clouds come down, and water comes down. The water comes down, and the water waters all the plants and everything that we need in order to get food. And we can get food, each one of us. When we talk about Hashem prepares the food, we have to think in benching. Hashem prepares food, sustenance, not just for us human beings, but for everything which inherently is for us. But in order for us to get our food, how many other things need to be fed to get them? And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is working to make all this through nature happen so that we can get our food.